So as we continuously talk about deadlifting and some of the variations and the things to look for and how to really switch up these movements so you don't feel like you're doing the same ones over and over again, one of the things that you can also do is deficit deadlifting, where you're actually adding risers or plates or some type of elevated plane. You can also do these on small boxes. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna actually force you to use a little bit more of your upper body in the deadlift. So this is actually not a bad accessory to do on like a back day if you want to as well. And it kind of takes the posterior chain out of the equation, which forces it to work a little bit harder, if that makes sense. You're looking at the upper body to take over the load because you're up at a higher plane, but when you're finishing the deadlift, your core and your legs are that much more involved because now you've just become taller. So think of it from the standpoint of what a taller athlete would have to go through if they were deadlifting, okay? Because it does make a difference, all right? Imagine yourself deadlifting and then imagine LeBron James deadlifting, okay? It's gonna look a little bit different depending on how you guys set it up, all right? But very easy. We're gonna go through conventional and then we're gonna quickly switch over to sumo to show the differences between the two. So Ellen's gonna step up on our plates here. We got this at about a 1.5 to 2 inch deficit. She's gonna drive the bar to her shins and go ahead and set up in her normal conventional deadlifting form. One of the things I will tell people, if you use the plates, make sure your heels are on a solid spot. So you can cover the whole area, but make sure your heels are not dipping down in the hole of the plate. They need to be covering that hole so that you can get a complete drive through the heels as you come up in the deadlift, okay? And from this point out, her shoulders are gonna naturally round because she's a little bit higher up than she was before. But here, it's okay, because we want her upper body to take the load of the lift from the start, and then as the path of the bar comes up her shins, she will then drive through the plates and finish the deadlift. So go ahead and get about 5 reps in on that. Not too much should be changing. And that's one of the great things about knowing that you're doing enough of your deadlifting, is if you can keep your strict deadlifting form, good job, Ellen, while you're adding these little variations to the mix, okay? Here's a couple reasons why this might not work out. Ellen, go ahead and hop back up there. Now, I just want you to go down to the bar, okay? And then do me a favor, put that butt up real high and then let them shoulders come back down. Okay, so this here is a very, very familiar starting spot for a lot of people when they're doing deadlifting on risers or on plates. Why? Because they're looking at the fact that they're up higher and they're thinking, hey, I need to get more of myself over the bar so that I can pull it up to myself and then extend up in the deadlift. Go ahead and rest, okay? Knowing that Ellen already has the bar exactly where she needs to be, if you're setting up like that every single time you're doing your deadlift, that has nothing to do with your strength. It has nothing to do with that at all. It's actually your flexibility and your range of motion that you need to fix. You need to do a lot more work on your hamstrings, a lot more work on your thoracic area, so that you're able to actually set up in your normal deadlifting form. Now remember, if your shoulders are a little bit more forward, that's okay. One of the things that I'll tell you though, Ellen, go ahead and hop up to the bar. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Set up in that deadlifting form for me, and then rotate those elbows in for me, okay? Rotating those elbows in, and then give me about 3 reps. Go ahead and sit into it. All the way back down. Keeps her palms down. And it keeps her shoulders set in the same spot the entire time she's doing the deadlifting, okay? At a lighter weight, this is something that we would do for someone who might be dealing with a couple issues with the low back, to make sure that we keep the back flat by setting those shoulders from the beginning of the lift, okay? But if you have a younger athlete who you know you can push through, as long as mobility-wise, they're able to set up in their traditional form for their deficit deadlift, have them set up in that traditional form and have them get after it in their normal form, and they'll feel like it's nothing different while they're adding plates or risers. They'll feel like they're just still deadlifting the same way they've always have, okay? But adding this to the mix is gonna give us a little bit more core engagement, and think about what that does to the strength of the hamstrings. We're lengthening those hamstrings just a little bit more at the top in the pull on that deadlift. So that means when it fires up into the glutes, we're getting that much more impact on the glute area by finishing at a higher plane than before. And of course, the opposite is also true. Go ahead and give me 2 more reps in that form on the deadlift. Don't worry about locking out the elbows, just normal. Notice how she also has to go lower to bring the bar down, which is gonna hit the adductors a lot more, really push those glutes out a lot more. Go ahead and rest. So once again, that's giving us just a little bit more extra work to the booty as well. So ladies, you're always looking for ways to get a little bit of extra work on that backside. If you're doing deadlifting, if you're doing Romanian deadlifts as well, don't hesitate to add the deficits into it. I see you guys doing it all the time. You guys will have your 2 things here, your kettlebell in the middle, and you'll be doing deficits, sumo squats and stuff all day. You can do the same thing with your deadlifting. Just make sure your range of motion is there so that you can execute it with proper form.